All right guys, so we are on site. We are filming an episode of Foxy TV. Today we're talking about all things artwork, except for where I get them. So talking about why we use it, where we put it, our thought process behind where we put it, the impact that it has on first impressions, all of the things that are important about why we use it in your installation. Start from the very start. So basically, why do we use artwork? Now, this is a big conversation we have with our owners, particularly when they've just had their home repainted. And I can 100% understand the hesitation in having somebody come in and put artwork up on walls when you've just paid to have your whole home painted. Now, the reason we use it, artwork is incredibly important for joining the bits that we have in a space. I could describe it like icing on cake and the frosting, all the bits that you bring, but I feel like that is a little bit, I guess, missing our audience, and it doesn't really resonate with everybody if I describe it that way. For me, what artwork, so at the moment what we have is we have everything down on the ground here and nothing up on the wall. And you walk up here, as you walk up the stairs, you're looking at the chairs, but then your eye has nowhere to settle. There is nothing to help join everything. Instead, you've got big vacant open spaces. Open spaces are important, but they are really important at helping to guide the eye through a home and tell a story of the floor plan through the home as you walk through. So the artwork is really, really important at helping us join the ceiling to the floor and everything else that's in between. That's a really easy thing for me to say, but a hard thing for someone to visualize. So we're going to show you that here in this property, the difference between having the artwork in the room versus not. We've got a couple of good examples here in this one. Now, the artwork that we've brought along to our installation is a little bit too small for this wall, and you can see the proportion of the artwork matters. Now, we will go with our smaller set. So when I'm talking smaller, I'm talking about 80 centimeters or smaller. They're going to go into a bedroom. They're going to go into a small nook, into a study. We have really big artwork. So big artwork, I'm talking about a meter up to the oversized artwork, which is sort of sits around the 1.5 meters high. They are fantastic at big living spaces, great big open ceilings and hallways. They're generally where you'll see us use those. In rooms where there's a lot of colour and we've got some wallpaper, you're going to see us use mirrors. And then functionally, almost everybody in their home has a clock. We have a huge range of clocks. And again, that's just about adding a different visual interest, but also the familiarity that everybody already has from their home. When we're looking at a property and deciding how much artwork to bring in, there is a bit of a formula to it. It's not a guess, but although we do bring backups and we do have options on the truck, we can pretty much tell by looking at a floor plan how many pieces of art the home needs. Now, when you look at the floor plan of this home, we have 3 bedrooms. We have, like I said to you, the 80 centimetre artwork. Now, each room needs at least 1 piece of artwork in it. If it's a single bedroom, we're going to add another piece of artwork in there to go above a desk, because a single bed in a room on its own isn't very much going on. So we add a little bit more visual interest on the walls. Then you get to your living spaces. Each living space will have at least 2 pieces, if not 3 pieces of artwork. So you'll see in here, we're going to have 2 pieces on this wall, and then we could have 1 over on this wall, but we're actually going to do a stacked pair. The stacked pair, what I mean by that is 1 on top of another. Now, the reason we do that, we have amazing height. We're going to make the home feel taller and work in and play into that. If the ceiling wasn't as high, if it was just standard height, we wouldn't be doing that. It would make everything feel too low. So it's about being selective in where we actually position that. Entryways, also incredibly important to have something. So we have an entry nook in this home downstairs. We have a console table. We will always put something above a console table. The decision as to whether or not to use a piece of artwork versus a mirror, that comes into play depending on what the mirror is reflecting. Now, if we're going to put a mirror and all it is going to reflect is a blank wall, there is no point in having a mirror there. A mirror should act as another piece of artwork. What it reflects should feel like art, and in essence, it makes everything feel brighter because the reflection in the space rebounds. Now, if all we're doing is reflecting a wall, that indicates that we're in a small space where it's not going to reflect the light. So the purpose of using the mirror becomes redundant. So a mirror should be a statement piece. It should be something we walk up and we see something wow, and then we see the reflection, which in itself is the artwork. We have other bits and pieces. We have macrame, we have baskets, we have little woven elephant heads and things like that. They're all used in, I guess, the same spot you would use artwork in a bedroom, and very infrequently do we use those as a primary piece in a living space. The reason being, There are less people that love those items than a beautiful framed piece of artwork. And because our job is to appeal to as many people as we can, we'll go for framed beautiful pieces out here and then save those more personal items to give each individual bedroom its own personality. I guess while we're on that whole needing to appeal to everybody, the difference between using glass framed versus canvas prints, that again, there's no formula to what our team use. They work out to be the same price, regardless of it's glass framed or high quality canvas in a folding box. The price point of both of those artworks generally comes in at the same price point. There are people who love and put more value on a glass framed print than a canvas, and vice versa. There are people that prefer the free feel of a canvas print, but also the more designer luxe feel of a canvas print if it's been painted by a local artist. So we use those equally. There is no indication for our team to choose glass over canvas. They're allowed to do that throughout the property as long as they're sort of appealing to both audiences equally throughout. The conversation about whether or not to use art with a client, our preference is to use artwork. I've explained why it's important, and there are some homes where I'll suggest perhaps the styling won't be as powerful or as great a first impression if we style without the artwork. That conversation is really much driven by an owner who has hesitation of hanging the artwork. The artwork, when we mount it, it is a permanent mount. There are screws and there are hooks. The reason we use screws and hooks is because the artwork is quite heavy. Now, if we were to use a temporary mount, which we are often asked about using a 3M temporary mount, they fail. They don't work, they fall down, the artwork breaks as well as damages the property. The amount of times we've come in and seen a damaged skirting board, a damaged flooring, even a PowerPoint or a phone socket pulled out because the artwork has fallen down onto it, it now has made it no longer a justifiable option for us to use a temporary mount. Permanent fixtures are what we need. Now, if that is a really hard decision for an owner to make, they may ask us to only use the gold hook and avoid using a screw. Again, an option that we can definitely do, but it does make us go down the path of using very light artwork, which you will generally see canvases throughout a property. So there are options, as you can see. There is no blanket rule. There is no, it needs to happen this way. It's again a conversation with our homeowners, our agents, and then our team. But if at the end of the day, the home appeals to everybody, we've done our job. Now, what you can probably see in the background of me here, after I've just said we don't use permanent temporary mounts, are the temporary mounts that were up here by the tenant before they moved out. Now, these ones, as you can see, they are great. As far as a tenant goes, they're fantastic. But they're very bulky. We can't hang our artwork on these ones. They really stick out too far. But they're also uneven. So these are the ones where we just can't incorporate those into our styling. We're not going to take them down. We're going to leave them. We're going to pop those into the drawer for the new owner because we don't want to do the wrong thing by the owners or everybody who's going to be through here. But we can't present a home if we're going to the effort of styling. We need to make sure it's perfect. So if we go through this property here in Moorooka as an example of where we're going to use artwork and our thought process with including artwork in a home, it obviously starts at the front door. The front door is our first impressions, and this is where styling is key and paramount for making and creating those first impressions. There's the first 5 seconds of walking into a property, a buyer will form their opinion on whether or not they love the home. And then the rest of the time they walk through the property, it's negotiating on price. So obviously in a home and an entryway that has a dedicated entry nook, we are going to hang some artwork. There is the option, we could put something here, but then we need to think about the functionality of the home as well. The blank space is equally as important as filling it with artwork. And if we are going to fill a blank space with something, it needs to make sense. Obviously, you could place something here the full length of the wall. However, every single buyer is going to want to have a look at what is under here, and that is only going to create issues if we have something hanging on this wall. So this wall is a pretty easy no for our team to hang anything on it. This wall is a definite yes. We're creating a study nook. This is creating a moment where it could be a study nook, be a welcome nook. It is something where we need to show potential in this home. So come on through. We're not the biggest fan of styling hanging things in the bathroom or the laundry. This bathroom's got floor to ceiling tiles, so that would not be a space where we'll be styling something anyway. But in a more traditional home, we wouldn't hang anything in the bathroom or the laundry. The reason being, they are clean spaces. They have sharp lines. They shouldn't have wishy-washy images in the bathrooms, and that's how we've sort of branded ourselves as a company. Doesn't make it wrong if you have it in your home. That is the way that you love to see your bathroom. But styling for sale, we're going to take that element away. So in the bedrooms, when you're looking in the rooms, we have artwork to go in these rooms. This is the 80 centimeter artwork I'm talking about. These will get hung above the bed to give the best first impression, not just for when a buyer walks through the home, but also for when the photographer is taking their image. This has a cool balcony. This will likely be shot either this way, or depending if the photographer wants to get the built-in robe in the shot, either angle will include the artwork, and that's really important. This wall is redundant as far as first impressions and artwork goes. The same rules will go into this room. Now, whether or not the shot is to get whether or not they do a third bedroom shot, whether or not they're going to get the wardrobe in there, either way, we're going to be able to incorporate the artwork on this wall. All right, so obviously I spoke about first impressions. The stairwell landing here is critical for the first impressions, for actually adding a visual interest and actually inspiring somebody to come up those stairs. So we will pop a nice big piece of artwork here because it's still safe for us to do so. You know, in a traditional home, in not less of a Queenslander, but more of a traditional, I guess, 70s build, 60s build. The stairwell that goes up the home, when you have a stairwell landing that has the U-shaped staircase either way, we aren't able to safely reach. Not all the time does it need something, but it's a workplace health and safety consideration for us to be able to hang artwork. Now, we can definitely engage somebody to come and do it for one of our owners if we needed to, but then it's a weighing up of the investment and the cost of getting somebody to come and do it versus the impact. And when you walk into the home and it's the first thing you see, 100% it is worth the impact, worth the investment and the impact. In a home where the stairwell is off to the side, you don't actually see the artwork from any other space except the stairwell, well then the conversation needs to be had as to whether or not that's worth the investment. So as you can see, it's all about considering whether or not the return is there for our owners. Now in here, definitely we need 2 big pieces of oversized artwork over here. This is an amazing sized living space for a 3-bedroom unit, and we really want to show that. So we've got a 6-seater dining table. We've got enough bottoms on seats in that space there for 4 people. So we need nice big oversized artwork, and then we won't clutter the space too much by putting anything else on this wall. The TV acts as another piece of, it's definitely not beautiful and it's definitely not wall art, but it's a functional box that is ticked, and we do not need to put anything else in the space around it. This kitchen doesn't need anything additional. Again, we could have the potential to pop a clock. I don't feel like it's needed. Doesn't add to our first impressions. It's also going to be off-centered, so we probably won't add a clock into this space. Then, I did speak about this before already. Gorgeous piece of artwork here, a nice stacked set of artwork here. This spot is visible regardless of where you are, which is why it's important for this not to be a blank space. As a blank space, I think that starts going down the path of too much blank space in a home. And as you can see, it's all about making sure we've got the good balance happening. Into the gorgeous master bedroom, which Maddie's done a phenomenal job at. Now you can see she's already hung her artwork in this space. We have 2 pieces of artwork either side of the doorway, framing it up quite beautifully and just bringing those same colours from the main living into the master bedroom. Those spaces will always have the same colour tones. Bedrooms 2 and 3 will then have their own personalities throughout. So I wanted to use another example to show you the difference and move from what was a 3-bedroom townhouse, so a small space living, into more of a grand home. So this property is in Rochedale. It is a home of grand proportions. So we're looking at multiple living spaces. We've got 5 bedrooms. We've got a nice big dining. We've got a huge big outdoor space. So there's lots going on. Now, what the team have captured here are the differences between the walls when they are blank to then when we have our artwork hanging. So you can actually see they've prepped the walls. You can see the screws in the wall ready for the artwork to be mounted. Now, I think the mirror is probably one of the best examples to show you here, a really great use of a mirror. Now from the first angle down low, you can see it's reflecting a wall, but then as the camera sort of transitions through the other two angles of it, you can see what I talk about when I'm talking about a mirror reflecting artwork. It's reflecting the beautiful trees, it's reflecting the gorgeous sheer curtains with what's outside, then it's rebounding that light through the room. It produces a focal point that isn't dominating in a space, which is why they are so great to use when you have a lot of other textures like wallpaper, wall paneling, all those types of things. Mirrors are absolutely perfect in a space like that. Now, the second shot here you can see is a family living space. Now, that wall would have been absolutely perfect if we would like to have popped a TV on that wall, and you can see that's how the builders have prepped the wall. So it's got a TV socket, it's got the space for the entertainment unit and everything like that. Now, given that this home has 3 other living areas as well as what is quite a retreat in the master bedroom space, we don't like to style our properties with 3 TV spaces. Having one space, 1 or 2 spaces, depending on how many living areas there are, that have a defined formal sitting space, that's really, really well received by our buyers. So in particular, the demographic of buyer they'll be purchasing in Rochdale, having the formal and sitting space and having less TVs within the home is received very, very well. So that's why Ellie, the stylist who was on site, has produced this product the way that she has. We have an oversized piece of artwork here from Warrenbrook, absolutely gorgeous. It's about 1.4 meters tall. Like it is a beauty of a piece, and it definitely dominates in that space, taking enough room up there, enough space that we really don't need to add in something like a sideboard. Now, when you go up to the bedroom, we don't love hanging artwork above a bed head. Having artwork above a bed head is too much in that first instance. When you walk into a room, it becomes cluttered, and there is nowhere for the eye to then look through to a bathroom or look out to a balcony. So that's why we tend not to hang anything above a bed head. Sometimes you'll see us doing it adjacent to a bedside, but that wall has to be a mighty big wall. It has to be at least 5.5, maybe 6 meters wide for us to be hanging anything on the bed wall. This is one of those instances. So Ellie's done a pair of artwork side by side on the wall. Now this, you will walk in and you will see this wall when you come in, and rather than a big blank wall that really doesn't do anything to help you fall in love with a home or guide a space, this is guiding you out to where the windows are. That's what artwork is used here, and it makes a really good impact. So I hope that this extra property here really shows you the difference, not just in a small space living, but in a home of really big proportions, the difference that artwork can bring together.